Did you know that Frank Sinatra turned down the role of John McClane in the classic movie Die Hard? Could you imagine that? Well, it's based on the detective role he had back in '68, but could you imagine that Bruce Willis's character would have been Frank Sinatra? Well, the clean face, the semi pompadour, and the element of taking on the whole city and the elements would have been something as a hero. Sinatra had that edge and that versatility, but I don't know by the time Die Hard came out that he could have pulled that off. That would have been something. I think that if you'd have used the technology and that they used with AI and the whole thing, maybe. But by the 80s, Sinatra was a bit older cat, and I don't know if they could have used that, unless, of course, they did it in the throwback, kind of like you do with Sean Connery. You try to, make it cool to throw it in there. But anyway, it's a testament to his lasting power. He had built up a reputation as an actor because other people considered for the role were Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Gere. So all the cats, and I think Sylvester Stallone, so all the cats that were leading men at the time and that were happening, as far as those type of films go, were picked for the roles. But it says a lot that Sinatra, someone who predated all those cats by 20 years, and most of them by a good decade plus in terms of when when he started to make more contemporary works, says a lot. Would have been interesting had he been and could have pulled off a certain type of role. We didn't get to see him as such as he was still performing, but um, that was interesting to read that. That yeah, an iconic role like Die Hard was offered to Frank Sinatra and he turned it down. I think that when you see certain artists of yesteryear and of a time period and they get that kind of acknowledgement, that speaks volumes about what they meant. There used to be respect for the OGs, the old guards that was on duty, because you'd give them respect, and that would have been something else. There were certain roles that I know he would not have partook in. He didn't like to play into anything that was stereotypical or cliche or anything. So don't expect him in any Goodfellas or Godfather type of roles. That was not something he was going to partake in. But this was a cool, would have been interesting as an action hero. Of course, you had to see him in his, had they had like a Die Hard in the 60s or early 70s, I think he would have taken it on. Not by the mid to late 80s. No, not believable. Not at that stage and what have you. And considering that a decade later that he would be moving on, because it would take a lot of work with that character. Bruce Willis put a lot of work into Die Hard. I think